GMOs are allowing our food to be sprayed with multiple herbicides and insecticides without killing the produce, but what's it doing to us?
Oh, that's just the detail.
Yeah, just a minor detail.
It kills all the things that make the crop suffer, but the people that eat the crop, we'll worry about them later, huh?
Well, this biopollution from the Roundup glyphosate fallout is producing uncontrollable and irreversible changes in our genes. And even if we try to eat organic or want to eat organic, a government study shows that Roundup weed killer is found in 75% of the air that we breathe and in the rain, and it ends up in our blood. So GMO farming has made exposure predominantly to Roundup herbicide, glyphosate, just a part of our daily life. So what is the matter with us? Many other countries don't allow GMOs.
Well, it depends on how much money you want to make. If you have a dedication to making a lot of money and you have power from the industry that makes the product, which is Monsanto, then you're going to influence Congress, and Congress is going to sit on its fat butt, not protect us. And that's what's happened.
Well, see, they don't. They leave it up to the companies.
Well, of course. That's what the whole lobbying is about. Is so they can have the power, and all they have to do is pay money. So if you pay money in the form of what I would call a bribe and they would call a donation, you're going to get what you want. And that's how this country works.
Well, over the last 12 years, we've had an 18-fold increase in this glyphosate in our air and our rain.
Right. Well, you can't get away from it anymore. And they did a study on this. It was published in the Environmental Toxicology and Chemistry journal between the years of 1995 and 2007. And they did this in Mississippi, and that's where they found these startling numbers that you got. I mean, they basically found 86% of the air samples that were tested there had Roundup in it, and 77% of the rain samples they had it in it. So how are you going to get away from it? Whether you think you're eating organic food, really? If it's in the food, water, and air that you're feeding to your organic crops, what do you think is going to happen? Sure, it's not going to be organic anymore.
Well, they did a few studies on rats, and they ended up with these horrible, horrific breast tumors.
Yeah.
Well, they call them mammary tumors in the rats. But it was really scary to see how fast that
Well,
happened.
there are a lot of things that we do because we don't have proof that we will divulge anyway that there's a problem with the products that we're making.
So it's so unfair because it's like we think, I want to eat organic and I want to take care of myself and live a healthy lifestyle. And then all this fallout is in the air and the water and everything.
Well, that's right. And the exposures are cumulative and they're synergistic, meaning that...
With other toxicants.
Yes. So if you have exposure to Roundup and to 30 or 40 other chemicals that are in the environment, they're going to be synergistic effects. They're not just additive. I mean, you look at DDT and DDE experiments that were done on breast cancer in rats, and what they found is it wasn't just doubled, it was quadrupled or 5 times higher. So when you're looking at 15 or 20 or 30 or 50, it's a big deal. Now, the Environmental Working Group did a study back about 10 or 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah, the body burden study.
The body burden study. And what it showed, and they took 9 people who were in different areas of the country, from places like in the middle of New York City to the coast of California, where it's on the sea and there's organic farming and there's supposed to be clean water and all that. And they looked at about 250 different kinds of toxicants, and nobody had less than about 80 of them. And most people were polluted with a lot more than that. So we're looking at a mass poisoning of the people and the animals in our world.
Well, just take, for example, soy. The way that Monsanto does it. They make the soybeans in such a way that they can withstand something like 30 different pesticides.
And 15 times maybe the amount of a certain pesticide that they're interested in.
So that it won't kill the soybean.
Right, it protects the plant.
That's why they genetically engineer it.
Right, well, that's right. And then they give you the seeds, right? And then you have to continue to purchase them if you want more. And
then you eat this, and you're eating all these pesticides, then you get cancer, and Monsanto provides the chemotherapy, so it's a great business.
It's a full-service company, right? So
there are a few other companies that do it too. I think DuPont.
Well, I mean,
other ones.
Let's face it. We live in a culture where the bottom line is return on investment. And the responsibility that CEOs have is to provide a profit. And if they don't provide a profit, they lose their job. So that's what they do, and that's what's considered good business.
Okay, and they had all this money, and they made all these ads when the Proposition 37 was on the ballot, and we voted, not you and I, but the public voted to not have a right to know what was in the food, so that the food wasn't labeled that it had genetically engineered contents.
It sounds silly.
It's crazy, so but people believed it, and I don't know why they believed it.
Well, that's advertising for you. Prop 37 in California failed last year when it went to an election, and the point of Prop 37 was to make it necessary for companies to divulge whether or not there were GMO products in the food that they were selling. And the California people didn't want to know that after they were.
Of course, now it seems like everything's going to have it.
Well, you can't avoid it now.
Some things have more than others. I mean, I still want to buy organic food because I figure it'll have less of it.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are just brainwashed, and they don't think, and they don't know enough about cell biochemistry to realize that if you put something poisonous inside your body, it's going to affect your body whether you have symptoms or not. And only when you get to a certain point are you going to have the drastic symptoms that result in, oh, this is bad for me.
Well, like everybody's talking about the cure. Cure for cancer, the cure. What about preventing it by not doing this with GMOs?
Well, because it makes two businesses instead of one.
Yeah, well,
all right. So it's about business. So when we look at the whole story of Roundup and other herbicides and pesticides, we're looking at a huge problem here that's poisoning the world, and it's not just us here in Mississippi or in the rest of the U.S. And unless we come to our senses and start thinking about what's actually happening, we're going to be in deep trouble. So we better start now stopping Monsanto and other companies that are working to make profit, that are lobbying to Congress to allow Congress to not make rules that stop them from doing what they're doing, or we're going to be in worse condition than we already are.